Okay, let's do a drawing. So this is the part here that I have. And actually I would think I'll upload this to the assignment as well. I'm going to start with a new, not part, not assembly, but let's go with a new drawing. I'm going to say okay, okay, and this will launch. Now, this is not a drawing. Let's try that again. New part, our drawing. Okay, so I got this pop-up here. The default templates aren't valid. Do you want to continue with the blank template? Okay, yes I do. I'm not too sure why that is. So this says part 3, but again, this is not a drawing file, so I'm not sure what's going on. Let's do it this way. I'll close this one. I'm going to close this one. And let's start this again, but instead of, I'm going to go new. Instead of double clicking here, I'm going to try the advanced. And I'm going to actually use, this is the default one. This is what should come up when you select the drawing file. There we go. It should look like this. And actually, with this basic template, there's a prompt before you get to this, and it's going to ask you what sheet size do you want. And you can see down here it says sheet size A. So A is the smallest size. It's 8.5 by 11. So, and I think it also asks you, do you want a landscape orientation or a portrait orientation? So if it's vertical or horizontal, this is horizontal, this is the landscape. So let's use the landscape for ours. Okay. So once you select that, this will pop up. And if you have the part already open, it will have it in this box here as the part or assembly to insert. If it does not, you can go to, let's go in and I'll close it here. Let's see. I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to close this part, maximize this back up. And then in view layout, I'm going to select model view, and then I can browse, and I hope I saved it. Here it is. I'm going to browse into either the desktop or wherever you have this located. So I'm going to browse. This property manager now changes, and if you can see, based on the orientation of the part with my default planes in the part file, it may look like this. This would be like the top view. This would be the front view, I believe. This would be the bottom view, top view. I'm going to go ahead and go with the top view. What is it called? This is isometric. This is right side, left side, and then this is back, I believe. Yeah. So I'm going to go with the top view, so it gives us this standard view. It has this frame around the profile of the part in that view. So I'm going to select this here. And once I do that, if you drag over, it will bring you to this right side view. So this looks pretty good. I can also do a isometric view, but I want to do it in a way, I don't think that's going to get exactly what I want. There's a few different tricks to doing using the isometric view as a pictorial view. So what I'm going to do for the pictorial view is I'm going to actually make a projected view off of this right side view. But before I do that, I'm going to scale this a little better because this scale is not good. So I'm going to select This is the parent view. I'm going to open this up by just clicking on it, and this brings me back to this drawing view number 1. And there's a few different boxes here. Orientation, mirror, I don't really know what that is. I haven't used that. Import options. Display style down here shows you can do this as like a hidden line view, as a shaded view. I think the default is hidden lines removed. I'm going to go to the scale and the custom scale, and let's make this a little bit bigger. Not that big. Let's make it, let's try maybe 3:2. No. How about, let's try 5/8. There we go, that's a little bit better. Let's see other options here. Maybe 7/8. Yeah, that one's pretty good. That one's maybe a little big, but I'm going to use that one. The other one is the same thing as 6/8, would be a little smaller. That's better, which is 3/4, 3:4. So that one's actually pretty good. I'm going to say yes to this. If you notice when I changed this scale, and it probably didn't change it down here. See, there's a scale here for the actual size. This is relative to the actual size. So when you take the 106 class, the drawing class, they'll go through over the title block and how the drawing name and this other information that you put in here can be linked to the information in the part file. So, so from here, I don't have a drawing of this. I don't have like a sample drawing, but let me show you, go back and do the projected view. I do want you to do this on this assignment. So I'm going to select this as a projected view, and I don't really get a good one from here. There's another kind of wonky way to do it. Okay, and I'll show you the wonky way to do it. Let's see. If I do another projected view off of here, I'm going to put this one up here, and then from this projected view I'm going to do another projected view, and I don't like that one or that one. It's going to actually be, I don't like that one, so I'm going to do another projected view down here. I'm going to say yes, and then a projected view off of here. There, this one. This is the one I want. So I'm going to put that one in there. I'm actually going to delete this view. So highlight, delete, yes. Highlight, delete, yes. And then this is a projected view. It stays there. If you do this projected view off of the parent view, well, you can't, basically, because, you know, what I'm asking for you to do is do this specific view. So make a projected view off of to the bottom. This might be actually the front view. And then make this style view. Now, from here, I'm going to use a custom, not the sheet scale, but a custom scale. I'm going to use, let's try 1:2. That's not quite big enough. That's almost too small. So let's do not 2:1. Let's go back and do 1. Let's do user defined, and let's try 1:3. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm going to say the scale is custom scale user defined. I'm going to say yes, and now I'm going to just pull this, drag this right here into here. Alright, now from here, the only other thing I'm going to change is this right side view. We call it drawing view 2. I'm going to change this so for the display style, I'm not going to use the parent style. This is the parent style where it is hidden lines removed. And on this one, it actually might not matter. You can really change the drawing view 1 to a display of hidden lines visible. But so on the right side view, you can see, I'm going to zoom in, and you can see the depths of the counterbore. Okay. Now, if you look at, I guess on the drawing that we do have here, actually the older drawing, it is accurate how you would display for the counterbore. I'm going to show you that first. In the annotation, we're going to use the form note. And I'm going to bring it in here, and I'm going to select right on the edge here. Sometimes they'll go to the center mark, but you can just as easily go out to the edge of the hole. And I'm going to write exactly as it's shown. I'm going to use down here this box for the text format. I'm going to add a symbol of diameter, and it's going to be 0.270. And then I'm going to do same thing, the symbol. Counterbore, I think, is in here. There's other counterbore symbols. No. No. Lost symbols. No. Full symbols. Here we go. I'll show you how to get to that again. In the text format page, add symbol, more symbols, whole symbols, counterbore, and then the value there is 0.440. And then I'm going to say, actually I like the way they have it there with this on the bottom. It's the counterbore is a 4.4, and then I'm going to add another symbol to a depth of 0.350, and I did add the trailing zeros to match a 3-place decimal tolerance. And then instead of X4, more commonly used today is PLCS, 4 places. This would always be capitaled. 4 places. Just like that. That looks good. This is all the information you need for the holes. It has the diameter of the through hole, the counterbore symbol for the diameter 440 to a depth of 350 thousandths deep, 4 places. Okay. So, the remaining things I did this. The pictorial view, sometimes they'll have this with a note that will show the scale. So like you could put a scale down here like this, and it'll say scale, whatever we did, 1 to 3, which is probably a good idea. You don't have to do that on the assignment, but let's zoom in so I can see that. Make sure the spelling's correct. This should all be capital. And I'm not good with the spelling there, am I? Scale. Delete, delete, delete. I'm going to say yes. So often you'll see that. Maybe that's not capital. That looks a little wonky. So the rest of it, you can actually dimension using the Smart Dimension tool. And you have to kind of play with this. I want you to kind of work on this a little bit as far as how you have this dimensioned. I think this one I'm going to go to here, and actually I'll move this. I'll move this one down like that, and then I can continue along. I'm going to go to, I use the model items. and that actually added all the dimensions in there. I'm not a big fan of doing that, so you can kind of try it. The thing with the model items is it will fill in the dimensions, but you got to go back in and edit and move them around. And I want you to really think about how you're dimensioning this. I'm going to go like from here to here, not the point, but the line. And on the drawing, they use what's called an ordinate dimension. And you don't necessarily have to do that. You can do it maybe like this. And then maybe I'll do the overall length here, down here. This dimension needs to be in there. Usually it's always better if you actually dimension outside the part, not like with the dimension inside the material like that. It looks kind of weird. I'm not a fan of how it shows this sideways either. Most of these dimensions will be oriented to whatever view you're in, so this looks a little wonky. I could change that. There's ways to go in and change how it's done, but I'm not too concerned about that. I actually just want you to kind of get in here and just do a drawing. Just try it. I'll do another one here. This would be the overall length. Let's see what else. It would be maybe the dimensions from here to here to that whole center. Actually, this one dimension doesn't matter because when you have this center mark, all of these arcs, these counterbore holes, are concentric with this outside fillet. So there's implied concentricity there. So I think that's pretty much everything. Am I missing anything here? It is dimensioned in the drawing, but it doesn't have to be. Oh, the other one is the note from here. And I'll put this as R 0.05 6 places. 6 BLCS. Like that. And honestly, I think that's all we need here. Dun, dun, dun. You know, the dimension to here, the depth, the overall length. I believe that's really all we need for this. And maybe you can go in, I'll go ahead and do the view, hide show, turn off the origins. And I'm going to go ahead and file, again, add your name here. And this will be base plate drawing. Okay, now, the other thing, when you submit this is very similar to submitting an assembly. I can use Pack and Go, and this is going to actually take my drawing that you see now and my base plate part, which is actually in I think it's in a different location here. And I'm going to save this to a zip folder. And I'll just put it, like, let's say on my desktop and say base plate Buchler with my last name right here. So I'm going to save it there in this location. It's going to save both of these parts linked. So when I grade this, I can unzip or uncompress this folder with both these parts and open the drawing, and it will link and display correctly because the base plate part is also linked in that same folder. So I'm going to say saved. It says failed to copy. I'm not sure why. I'm pretty sure it actually did. But I'm going to go back into Windows Explorer, into my desktop, into my zip folder. Oh, and it's not in there. Okay, so let's try. It's weird that it's not in there. It did warn me that it wasn't going to do that. But let's save it as, let's go to my desktop and I'll just save it in a new folder. New folder on my desktop. Base draw. I'll just put it in kind of a new folder here. Okay, now that it's saved, I think that was the issue, is that I had never done an original save on this drawing file. So now let's try and use Pack and Go. And I'll do it in this, see, it shows a location. And let me go back and select this location and it will overwrite. And then I'm going to say save. And now it's saved. Now, if I do a Windows Explorer, go to the desktop and look in this zipped folder, both the drawing and the part file are there. So it's really important that, again, you do an initial save on this before you use the Pack and Go option. Okay, so that's kind of just basic file management. You can also just save the drawing and or save the part file and the drawing in one location, one folder, and then just zip that folder. You don't necessarily have to use Pack and Go, but you have to have, I need access to the part file linked, so it has to be the same file you're using. I mean, I can go and when you open this up, and I'll give you an example in this. If I won't be able to do this. I need to actually decompress this, extract all, yes. So it's here. If I go in on this, and I actually change this by one letter, so base plate 1, if I change that name, and I go in to here, and I close it, and then I open off the desktop, and it's actually not off the base draw, but off of this one that I decompressed. See, the part file name has changed. If I open this, it should bark at me and says, hey, I can't find base plate because I changed the name. So I'm going to go ahead and browse for the file, and I'm going to use the one that I renamed, and then the file, this will go away. It does render correctly. But let's see if I do that again. File, open, base plate. I didn't save it with the link with the new name. So I'm just going to say it's going to dismiss it in 3 seconds. 2, 1. I'm unable to locate. If the parts aren't linked, this is what the drawing is going to look like. So that was an instance where I just renamed the part file. So the naming affects it, the location affects it. So make sure the name doesn't change and it's in the same location that you're using when you made the drawing, and that you're saving and zipping to me in a compressed folder. Okay, so that's a little bit of file management as well. So this would be a fun drawing. This particular one, you don't, if you noticed in the directions, you don't necessarily have to do the base plate. If you wanted to do your own drawing, maybe even one of your extra credit parts or one of the other parts, like the cutter holder, would be really good. It would be kind of difficult to get that correct because there's a lot going on there, but that drawing can certainly be improved. You don't necessarily have to do the base plate. You can do any of our basic ones based on the instructions. I think you can't do Tutor 1 or something because that's a little too basic, but just get in there and do a drawing, send it in a zipped folder with the part file included, and there you go. Thank you.